Biden lands in Cambodia to meet Asian allies ahead of Xi meeting. U.S. President Joe Biden is greeted by Cambodian officials upon arrival in Phnom Penh International Airport on November 12, 2022. Phnom Penh, Cambodia CNN. President Joe Biden arrived in Phnom Penh, Cambodia on Saturday morning local time for a series of summits and meetings between the U.S. President and the leaders of Southeast Asian nations. The weekend of meetings in Cambodia comes ahead of the highly anticipated Group of 20 summit next week in Indonesia, where Biden will meet with Chinese leader Xi Jinping for the first time in person since he took office. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations called the ASEAN meetings along with the Sunday's East Asia Summit, which is also being held in Phnom Penh, will be a chance for the president to speak with the U.S. allies before sitting down with Xi. Biden will hold a bilateral meeting with Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen as he looks to build a summit between Biden and the Asian leaders in Washington earlier this year. Biden National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan told the reporters aboard Air Force One was intent in elevating our engagement in the Indo-Pacific from the start of his presidency, and his attendance at the ASEAN and East Asia Summit this weekend will highlight his work so far, including the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework announced earlier this year and the Security Partnership Accord. He's, a, he's coming into this set of summit with the of record of accomplishment and purpose behind him, and he wants to be able to use the next 36 hours to build on that foundation to take American engagement forward and also to deliver a series of concrete practical initiatives, Sullivan said. Along those practical initiatives, Sullivan noted are new ones on maritime cooperation, digital connectivity, and economy investment. Biden is set to launch a new maritime domain airport that focuses on using radio frequencies from commercial satellites to be able to track dark shipping, illegal and unregulated fishing, and also to improve the capacity of the countries of the region to respond to disasters and the humanitarian crisis, Sullivan said. Biden will also highlight the forward deployed posture towards the regional defense, Sullivan added, to show that the U.S. is on the front foot in terms of security cooperation. There will also be a focus on Myanmar and the discussion on coordination to continue to impose cost and raise the pressure on the junta, which seized the power from the country's democratically elected government in the February 2021 COP. Four defining global threats are looming over Biden's trip: Russia's war in Ukraine, escalating tensions with China, the existential problem of climate change, and the potential for global recession in the coming months. Other flashpoints like North Korea's rapidly escalating provocations and uncertainty over Iran's nuclear program will also factor in. While in Phnom Penh, Biden will be meeting with the leaders of Japan and South Korea on Sunday following multiple weapons tests by North Korea, Sullivan said. The meeting is notable given the historic tensions between Japan and South Korea, and the relationship between the two staunch U.S. allies has been one that Biden has attempted to breach. The Japanese and South Koreans find themselves united in caution about Kim Jong un's missile test as well as the prospect of the seventh nuclear weapons test. North Korea has ramped up its tests this year, having carried out missile tests on 32 days in 2022, according to a CNN count. That's compared to just 8 in 2021 and 4 in 2020, with the latest launch coming on Wednesday. Sullivan suggested the trilateral meeting will not lead to specific deliverables, but rather is enhance the security cooperation amid the range of threats. The trio of world leaders, Sullivan told reporters, will be able to discuss broader security issues in the Indo-Pacific and also specifically the threat posed by North Korea's missile and nuclear programs. Sullivan said Thursday that the administration is concerned about the North Koreans conducting a seventh nuclear test, but can't say if it will come during the weekend of meetings. Our concern still remains real. Whether it happens in the next week or not, I can't say, Sullivan said earlier this week. We are also concerned about further potential long range missile tests in addition to the possibility of the nuclear test, and so we will be watching carefully for both of those. But the Monday meeting with Xi in Bali, Indonesia, will undoubtedly hang over the summit in Cambodia and will be part of those trilateral conversations. One thing that President Biden concerned certainly wants to do with our closest allies is preview what he intends to do and also ask the leaders of South Korea and Japan, what would you like me to rate? What would you like me to rate? What would you want me to go in with? Sullivan said, adding that it will be a topic, but it will not the main event of the trilateral. Biden and Xi has spoken by phone 5 times since the president entered the White House. They traveled extensively together both in China and the United States, when both are serving as their country's vice president. Both enter Monday's meeting on the back of a significant political event. Biden fares better than expected in U.S. midterm elections, and Xi was elevated to the unprecedented third term by the Chinese Communist Party. U.S. officials declined to speculate on how the two leaders' political situations might affect the dynamic of their meeting. The high stakes bilateral meeting between Biden and Xi will center on sharpening each leader's understanding of the other's priorities, Sullivan told the reporters. That includes the issue of Taiwan, which Beijing claims Biden has vowed in the past to use U.S. military force to defend the island from invasion. The issue is among the most contentious between Biden and Xi. Biden will also raise the issue of North Korea with the emphasis on the critical role China can play in managing what is the acute threat to the region, Sullivan said. Biden has repeatedly raised the issue in his calls with Xi up to this point, but Sullivan underscored the U.S. view that China plays a critical role and one that should be viewed within its own self-interest. If North Korea keeps going down this road, it will simply mean further enhance the American military and security presence in the region, Sullivan said. And so China has the interest in playing a constructive role in restraining North Korea's worst tendencies. Whether they choose to do so or not is, of course, up to them. Sullivan said Biden will detail his position on the issue, which is which is that North Korea represents a threat not just to the United States, not just to South Korea and Japan, but to peace and stability across the entire region. Sullivan suggested the meeting will focus on the better understanding of positions on the series of critical issues, but is not likely to result in any major breakthroughs or dramatic shift in the relationship. Instead, it's about the leaders coming to a better understanding and then tasking their teams to continue to walk through those issues, Sullivan told reporters aboard Air Force One as Biden traveled to Cambodia. The meeting, set to take place on the sidelines of the G20 summit, was the result of several weeks of intensive discussions between the two sides, Sullivan said, and is viewed by Biden as the start of the series of engagement between the leaders and their teams. CNN's Kevin Liptak, Jesse Young, Yoon Jong-seo, and Paula Hancock contributed to this report.